G'day guys, welcome. I've had a clip and I'm putting on the new cap, which I got for my birthday about 2 or 3 weeks back. I really like it actually. It fits quite nicely. I don't necessarily think caps suit my egghead, so to speak. Anyway, I thought I might just show you Baboo. There he is over in his little igloo. Now Baboo, as you remember, about a month back was the kitten that was underneath our house, and it was a feral kitten, and we eventually trapped it and brought it out here to the bungalow where I do most of my recording. And he's been out here for a month. He was so scared for about 2 weeks, but he's eventually come around and he's just fantastic now. I don't want to fall in love with him too much, but he's very special. He's having a morning nap. He's had a very playful morning. Anyway, I'm not here to talk about cats or caps or eggheads. I'm here to try and get my head around tomorrow's game, and there's this like really eerie feeling. And I often say on this channel, this is how I'm feeling. You just can't help how you feel. If you comment, you can comment in any way you like. Really, you do what you need to do in regards to the comments, but just tell me maybe in this episode how you're feeling, how you're really feeling, how you are honestly feeling, and don't try and hold it back and be positive for the sake of just being positive, or negative just for the sake of being negative. Can't have one without the other. But I've every time I've thought about this game and us, and that's my notes. There's not a lot there. Every time I try to write something down for this, it's just real anger and rage inside of me that I just can't. I'm controlling it, but it's there and it's almost ready to come out. And this isn't. I'm trying to separate the last 2 weeks because I thought it was a stirring performance against the Eagles last week, and they were horrible. But it was a stirring victory. And even if we were at full strength and we were going along quite nicely and we were 3rd or 4th on the ladder and our finals position was already secured, and we took a pretty strong team over to the West and we won by that margin, we would have just said that was a professional win. But I thought that was a stirring win under the circumstances. But I'm trying to separate the last 2 weeks to the season as a whole. And every time I think about us and think about every scenario that could take place, and for me, the only option for us is to win tomorrow. It's my only option. That's the only thing that will, I suppose, ease some of this anger and rage. And that's a little bit unfortunate considering I don't want to, we've got a lot of young players playing in this team tomorrow, playing their second game, third game, second-year players, Hollands and Cowan. They deserve our support, but there's this real fucking rage inside of me that this has just been such a botched campaign, and one which started well before the injuries. And if this group of players here that take the park tomorrow, and this is a whole club, so you can't just separate this team from the whole club, but these players weren't supposed to play this year. This isn't the team. But I just can't get it out of my head that this has been a fucking terrible campaign. Maybe that's a little bit over the top considering we are inside the top 8, and it'll be a second year in a row that we will play finals if we win tomorrow and all that type of stuff. But this started well before the injuries took its toll. And I don't want to necessarily go into a lot of that now because it's pointless, because there is a game to be played tomorrow, but I just don't know. I just don't know about tomorrow. I won't be at all surprised come what time will our game finish? It starts at 3:20, so you're talking 5 o'clock. I won't be at all surprised if we are just waiting on the result of the Fremantle and Port game. But I must admit, if we don't get the chocolates tomorrow, which I feel like this is not even a 50-50 game, I feel like this is in favour of St Kilda. In favour. Probably, I would say 70-30 in their favour. They've got a pretty bloody strong team on the park, and they're playing reasonably good football. And although their season is done and dusted, they've got a bit to play for, given the history between these clubs, given Ross Lyon's fingerprints all over this group. Stephen Silvani there, Stocker, Paddy Dow. There's a bit going on. We've got to win. The win is the only option for me, because I will have somewhat clocked out, I think, tomorrow, and I don't even think I will bother watching that game if we don't get the chocolates tomorrow. That's just my initial thoughts now. Okay, who knows how I'm feeling come 5 o'clock tomorrow. But what I will say, if we can get over the line tomorrow, this is something I think, given this group, that deserves to be celebrated. And I say, I'm separating the last 2 weeks to the season as a whole. I really am. And I know it won't happen, but if this team, which went over to the West, and if this team can beat St Kilda tomorrow, this fucking group of players deserve to play in the first final. Seriously, they deserve to take the field. And if that means we get our pants pulled down in an elimination final, then so be it. I'm pretty fucking angry at our football club. We fully deserve to be where we are. We really are. And this is for me, and I don't want to hear the rhetoric. I hope this club is fucking honest with us when the season's done, and there's some transparency. But this is no bad luck or some set of unfortunate circumstances that have somehow conspired against us, that we are cursed and all this type of, well, not so much cursed, but I just get the feeling that this is brewing narrative and rhetoric around that we just, yeah. And let's make no fucking mistake here. The best clubs get it right, and we just haven't got it right for long enough, and the injuries have obviously compounded that. But to see once again Zach Williams not playing, and the rumours around Mitch McGovern, Adam Sard comes back in after 1 week out with a hamstring injury. How do you work that out? And all those big name recruits that we invested so heavily in, and I'm talking big name recruits, I'm not talking about Akers, and I'm not talking about George Hewitt, are really important for us, are real warriors who I really like and enjoy in our football team. But the guys that we brought across who are just never on the fucking park, it's more to it than just fucking bad luck. It's list management, it's faith, and fucking getting it wrong, and it's just been botched. Anyway, enough of that. I think there's going to be time for a debrief and postmortems once the season's finished. Who knows? Who fucking knows, really, what's going to transpire tomorrow? All beyond this year. The Saints. If you are a St Kilda supporter, you've jumped on this, you've seen your logo in there, and it's a preview for this game, and welcome. What I try and do is be as respectful as I can, and yeah, what I will say with your football club is, if I was a fan of St Kilda, I'd be savage. I'd be just savage. And I wouldn't be taking a hell of a lot of solace out of doing some numbers on some teams. You know, you've done a number on Essendon. fucking smashed them, absolutely obliterated them. You couldn't get it done against Brisbane. They obliterated you. But what you did in the second half against Geelong last week was super impressive. It's like the shackles have been let off. But I'd be savage on that. And who knows? Who knows what's in store for you beyond this year? Because you're not playing finals football. You're not even close to playing finals football. And you've got your mojo together when it's all over. And as a supporter, that's just like fucking, it's almost like a kick in the fucking teeth. Because you can see the talent, you can see when it works, but what the fuck has gone wrong to play finals football last year, and really in the middle part of the season when you really got to dig in, you just weren't able to do it. And to fly home, I won't be sitting, if you get the job done tomorrow, which I expect you will, just the way you're playing, I won't be sitting there as a Carlton supporter going, oh, fuck, look what St Kilda did to us. I'd be fucking angry at our football club. It's as simple as that. But you are playing well. I listened to a really good interview with Zach Guthrie playing his 100th game for the Cats this weekend against the West Coast Eagles. He spoke on, I think it was SEN on one of the mornings. And they asked him about the St Kilda loss and what happened, particularly after half time. And he just came out. It was a really good interview. He just said that we just couldn't defend St Kilda's ball movement. And that's something which, if you can get with St Kilda, can get going in this game. And it starts with the contest. Starts with that pressure first and foremost. But you do have that, maybe not the kicking ability. Some of your players are exceptional kicks, but you do have that speed and that sort of slingshot style, which has really come to the fore in the second half of the season. Although it was there really early in the year. I remember a game against Collingwood where you looked outstanding at the MCG, and I thought, geez, the Saints are on this year, but it hasn't worked out that way. But Guthrie just said they couldn't control it. They were as impressive a team that they've played for a very long time in regards to their ball movement. That is somewhat a scary prospect for us, given that this is a skeleton team that we're putting out on the park once again tomorrow. But Ross would have done his homework on us. No doubt about that. Not just Ross, but his assistant coaches last week. And the problem you have when you have to shift the magnets, Kemp forward, Ollie Hollands across half back, a few different bits and pieces, that smart planning can take away what was a strength the week before against awful opposition who really didn't put up much of a fight other than for a 10-15 minute period in the first quarter. But he'll do his homework. He'll do his homework on Kemp. He'll have the right matchup for him. He'll look out for Hollands if he plays behind the ball. We got Sard back. So whether that changes, Hollands comes back up to the wing, I'm not quite sure. But it's no doubt to me this around the contest with Marshall. And I think Steele becomes such a pivotal player in this game, given that historically he's gone to Patrick Cripps. And Cripps is the one that's, I don't like to use the term that he's carried us, but he's just been exceptional. Like last week, he was just unbelievable. He just ran his own race. He was allowed to run his own race. They couldn't stop him, but we know Steele is a seasoned campaigner. He's the captain of your football club, and he'll sacrifice his game for the betterment of the football team. But the one, I think it's the outside. I think you've got, if you can get the pressure up, that will help. But it's the outside class. Jack Sinclair is an absolute jet. I don't think he necessarily gets the recognition that he fully deserves as a footballer. But you've got Bradley Hill and Nasiah Wangani Malira, who I see like a type of player that he's only young, but when the Saints are going really well and they're on top of their game and their contest work is on song, that he feeds and relishes off that. And if he's able to get some confidence up early in this game, we're going to have a lot of trouble been able to defend the ground. Because our midfield, as much as it can be brave, it's not fast. And a lot of that sort of team defence comes down to just getting in the right spots at the right moments. But yeah, I think you offensively, I think you're right up there at the moment in regards to what you're doing forward of the ball. It just looks a little bit different without having King down there. Memory's found a new lease of life. His work rate. He's always been a great engine, and he has a particularly good record against us, Tim Membry. And Cooper Sharman looks to be a real player. I know he's a little bit older than your average second or third year player. Was it mid-season draft, Cooper Sharman? But he's got long arms, he's quick, finds space, and there's a fleet of small forwards who, on their day, can be pretty crafty and dangerous. So the back half looks solid enough if you can keep it in your front half more often than not. But yeah, I'm expecting Ross to have St Kilda fired up. And when a team can apply that heat to us, which the Eagles weren't able to do, then we have shown this year in a lot of games that we can falter, and our skills, which at the best of times aren't great, can really falter under real heat. And then it comes down to defending the ground with outside speed. But I want to give our boys the benefit of the doubt here and really back them in because they deserve that. There's a couple of players that I really want to speak about in our football team tomorrow who need to have huge games. One of those is Adam Saad. I know he comes back in after 1 week out with a hamstring injury, and that is like, it's almost like a recipe for disaster, but they're rolling the dice with that. I've never heard of a 1 week hamstring injury. I don't think this is the first time Saad's had a hamstring injury this year either, but he's in. He needs to have a big game. We've invested a lot into Adam Saad. He had a really good year a few years back when he was All-Australian, but I think it's been a little bit for his standards, lofty standards, it's been somewhat underwhelming given the importance of him, and he will need to have a fucking huge game, whether that is defending first and not lagging off his opponent, but he needs to provide some absolute energy and spark because, let's face it, he wasn't there last week. And pre the Eagles game, he was down. He got bullied by Nick Dacos. Nick Dacos made fun of him. He dropped his shoulders. He's defended poorly. He gets caught on his wrong side because he's getting the ball in the wrong position. So I'm expecting a huge game from Adam Saad. Huge. And the other one I want to speak about is Sam Walsh. And I suppose it's, if he's got an injury, if his back is troubling him, it's not bad enough for him not to play. So if you're going along that line that Sam Walsh has got an injury, that's why he's down. He's down. And it's not horrible down. It's just very little impact. Very little impact. And it's not the Sam Walsh that had in a Normals final series last year. And let's face it, it's not the Sam Walsh that we know. But if it is his back injury, we're not going to get much out of him tomorrow. But if he's okay and he's able, and given that we know that Crip is probably going to get really manhandled tomorrow, we need something out of Walsh tomorrow. And I know it's a team game. You need everyone to contribute. But he's one of our best players. He's one of our stars. And we're just not getting bang for buck from Sam Walsh. And for us to be able to win this game tomorrow, we need Sam Walsh to have a game for the ages. I really think so. A game for the ages. So if Sam Walsh is picking up 23, 24 disposals, getting caught a few times, butchering his kicks, we're not winning this game. But if Sam Walsh can lift like Patrick Cripps has lifted, then we're right in this, because it means that St Kilda have got more than just Patrick Cripps to stop. They're going to have to try and stop the likes of Elijah Hollands, who's in reasonable nick. They're going to have to stop George Hewitt, who will probably get the role on Jack Sinclair if we're smart enough. You know, we know what we're going to get from Blake Acres. He's as solid as a rock on his wing. You know, Carroll was serviceable last week, but, you know, we're not expecting a hell of a lot from the likes of Jackson Binns, Jack Carroll. It's got to be Sam Walsh. It's just fucking got to be a game for the ages by Sammy tomorrow. And we're just pleading with him that he can turn it over. I mean, not turn it over. We know he does that a fair bit, but turn it on at Marvel Stadium tomorrow. I'm going to leave it there, folks, with this one. And I've got a feeling it will be the last preview I do for 2024. But I will be doing, obviously, a debrief, a review, come probably Monday, given it's a late Sunday game. Anyway, from my blue heaven and Babu, have a great Saturday. Take care and see you at the footy tomorrow.